I had barely sat down with my coffee when Captain Harris burst into the room, a grim look on his face. His typical jovial attitude was nowhere to be seen, which immediately made me regret not putting a little whiskey in my mug. He glanced around at us, my team of misfit space explorers, before dropping the bomb. All right, listen up. We've got a mission. The lost colony of Zorath has finally sent a distress signal after 2 decades of silence. The room went dead silent. Even Lars, who never shuts up about his alien conspiracy theories, had nothing to say. The lost colony was the stuff of legends and ghost stories. Established on a distant planet, it went dark years ago without any explanation. What kind of distress signal? I asked, breaking the tension. That's the thing, Harris said, scratching his head. It's not just a distress signal. It's a message asking for a rescue, specifically for us. I nearly choked on my coffee. Us? The dream team of the Galactic Explorers Guild? We were barely fit for a simple supply run, let alone a high-stakes rescue mission. Pack your bags, people. We leave in an hour, Harris ordered. And just like that, the room buzzed with a mix of excitement and dread. The ship, lovingly named the Bucket by yours truly, was a relic from the early days of space exploration. It creaked and groaned like my old knees, but it had one hell of a personality. As we prepped for takeoff, I couldn't help but feel like I was in some twisted space sitcom. So, any bets on what happened to Zorath? Asked Sarah, our resident engineer, while tightening a bolt that had no business being loose. Zombie apocalypse, Lars said with a straight face. Or maybe the planet's core turned into a sentient being and ate everyone. Always a ray of sunshine, Lars, I said, rolling my eyes. I'm going with the classic. They ran out of coffee and decided to call it quits. We all laughed, but there was an underlying tension. None of us knew what we'd find out there. As we strapped in, the reality of the mission started to sink in. This wasn't just a run to the nearest starport. This was Zorath. Engines ready? I asked Sarah, who gave me a thumbs up. All right, let's get this rust bucket into the black. The launch was surprisingly smooth. For once, nothing exploded or caught fire. We were on our way to Zorath, and despite the jokes, the uncertainty gnawed at me. What were we walking into? Zorath loomed on the view screen, a swirling mix of greens and blues that looked deceptively serene. We orbited the planet, scanning for the source of the distress signal. Found it, Sarah announced. It's coming from the old colony center. We descended through the atmosphere, the ship rattling like an old man's cough. As we touched down, the colony's structures came into view. They were eerily intact, standing silent like ghosts of a forgotten era. All right, people, I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. We go in, we find the colonists, we get out. Simple as that. We stepped out into the colony, our footsteps echoing in the stillness. The air was breathable, which was a small mercy. As we approached the main building, the doors slid open with a hiss, revealing a dimly lit corridor. Welcome, rescuers, a voice said, making us all jump. We've been expecting you. A figure emerged from the shadows, a man surprisingly clean and well-dressed. He smiled at us like we were old friends arriving for a dinner party. My name is Dr. Elias Caldwell. I'm the leader of this colony. Thank you for coming. Hi, I said, caught off guard. We got your distress signal. What happened here? Dr. Caldwell's smile faltered. It's a long story. Please, come in. There's much to discuss. Dr. Caldwell led us to a large conference room that looked like it hadn't seen a meeting in years. Dust covered the long table and chairs were haphazardly strewn around. He motioned for us to sit, which we did, albeit reluctantly. Where is everyone? Sarah asked, glancing around nervously. Caldwell sighed, his demeanor changing from welcoming to weary. That's the complicated part. You see, we made a discovery shortly after settling here, an alien artifact buried deep beneath the surface. It was a marvel of technology, something we had never seen before. Let me guess, Lars piped up. You poked it with a stick and everything went to hell. Caldwell chuckled, though there was no humor in his eyes. In a manner of speaking, yes. The artifact had a consciousness. It communicated with us, promised us knowledge and power. We were foolish. We activated it and it changed everything. What do you mean changed? I asked, dreading the answer. The artifact altered the colonists, made them different. Some became incredibly intelligent, others gained physical enhancements. But it wasn't just gifts it gave. It took something in return. Caldwell looked down, his voice dropping to a whisper. It took their humanity, turned them into something else. They're no longer the people I knew. A chill ran down my spine. And you? How did you escape? I didn't, Caldwell said, meeting my gaze. I was spared for some reason. Maybe because I was the leader. Maybe because it wanted me to witness the consequences of our actions. I've been trying to find a way to reverse it ever since. The room fell silent. We had come to rescue colonists, but what we found was something far more sinister. So, what now? Sarah asked, her voice shaking slightly. Now, Caldwell said, standing up. We try to fix what we've done. With your help, maybe we can do it. Equipped with the best gear our dilapidated ship could offer, we followed Caldwell to the site of the artifact. The entrance was a gaping maw in the ground, surrounded by strange symbols that made my skin crawl. Stay close, Caldwell warned as we descended into the darkness. The artifact has a way of manipulating perception. Great, just what I needed. An alien funhouse. We moved cautiously, the only sounds being our footsteps and the occasional drip of water echoing through the tunnel. So, what's the plan? I asked, trying to keep the nerves out of my voice. We need to deactivate the artifact, Caldwell explained. There's a control panel at its base. If we can reach it, we can shut it down. And what happens to the colonists? Lars asked. Caldwell hesitated. I don't know, but it's the only chance we have. The tunnel opened up into a vast cavern, and there it was, the artifact, a towering monolith pulsing with an eerie light. The air hummed with energy, making my teeth vibrate. All right, team, I said, steeling myself. Let's do this. We approached the artifact, and immediately I felt it probing my mind, whispering promises of power and knowledge. I shook my head, focusing on the task at hand. Caldwell led us to the control panel, which was covered in more of those unsettling symbols. Quickly, Caldwell urged. We don't have much time. Sarah and Lars worked on the panel, their hands moving with frantic precision. The artifact's light grew brighter, its whispers louder. I could feel it trying to worm its way into my thoughts. Got it! Sarah shouted, pressing a final button. The artifact shuddered, its light flickering. The hum grew louder, then suddenly cut off, plunging the cavern into darkness. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a low rumble shook the ground, and the artifact began to crumble. Move, now! Caldwell yelled, and we bolted for the exit. We emerged from the tunnel just as it collapsed behind us, breathing heavily and covered in dust. The artifact was gone, and with it, the eerie influence it had over the colony. But what about the colonists? We made our way back to the main building, where we were met with an astonishing sight. The colonists were there, looking dazed but human. Whatever the artifact had done to them was gone. Dr. Caldwell? A woman asked, her voice trembling. What happened? Caldwell stepped forward, his eyes filled with relief. It's over. You're free. The colonists began to cheer, hugging each other and us. It was a bittersweet victory. We had saved the colony, but at what cost? The knowledge of what had happened here would haunt us all. As we prepared to leave, Caldwell approached me. Thank you, he said quietly. You saved us all. Just doing our job, I replied, though it felt like so much more. We boarded our ship, the weight of the mission settling over us. As we took off, I glanced back at Zorath, a sense of accomplishment mingled with a lingering unease. We had faced the unknown and come out the other side, but the mysteries of space were far from over. All right, team, I said, trying to lighten the mood. Who's up for a round of drinks? First one's on me. Laughter filled the cabin as we set our course for home, leaving the lost colony of Zorath behind. We were explorers, rescuers, and sometimes just lucky fools. But whatever we faced next, we'd do it together. And that, I realized, was the true heart of our mission. Back aboard the bucket, I finally allowed myself to relax. The hum of the engines was a comforting white noise as we cruised through space. The team was scattered around the main cabin, each lost in their thoughts. The tension of the mission had given way to a quiet exhaustion. "I never thought I'd say this, but I kind of miss the predictability of cargo runs," Sarah said, breaking the silence. "You and me both," I replied, "but hey, at least this will make for one hell of a story." Lars, who had been unusually quiet, looked up. "Do you think we really fixed it? What if there are other artifacts out there on other planets?" I shrugged. "Maybe. But that's a problem for another day. Right now, I'm just glad we made it out in one piece." We all nodded in agreement. The mission had been a close call, and we needed to savor the victory, however fleeting it might be. As we neared our home base, the familiar sight of the space station filled the view screen. It was a hodgepodge of modules and ships, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience, and it was home. "Welcome back, Bucket," the station's control officer crackled over the comms. "We've got a debrief scheduled for you and some well-earned downtime." "Roger that," I replied. "Looking forward to it." The debriefing room was as sterile and boring as I remembered. Captain Harris and a few higher-ups sat behind a long table, their expressions unreadable. We recounted the mission in detail, sparing none of the gritty details. "So, this artifact," one of the officials said, steepling his fingers. "You're sure it's destroyed?" "Yes, sir," Caldwell replied. He had accompanied us back to ensure the colony's future. It was completely neutralized. The colonists are recovering, but the changes it made seem to be reversing. The officials exchanged glances, then nodded. "Very well. Excellent work, team. You've done a great service to the galaxy." "Thank you, sir," I said, though it felt hollow. The weight of what we had witnessed still pressed heavily on me. As we left the debriefing room, Harris pulled me aside. "You did good out there," he said, clapping a hand on my shoulder. "Take some time off. You and your team have earned it." There's no better way to unwind than at the station's only tavern, aptly named the Black Hole. It was a dive, but it was our dive. We claimed a corner booth, and true to my word, I bought the first round. "To surviving the unknown," I toasted, raising my glass. "To not getting turned into alien puppets," Lars added, earning a round of laughter. As the drinks flowed, the tension of the mission melted away. We shared stories, some true, some embellished, but all a testament to our bond. This ragtag team of misfits had faced the impossible and come out stronger for it. Caldwell, who had joined us, raised his glass. "To new beginnings," he said. "For all of us." "Hear, hear," we chorused, clinking glasses. As the night wore on, I found myself outside, looking up at the stars. The vastness of space had always fascinated me, but now it felt more daunting than ever. There were so many unknowns, so many dangers lurking in the shadows. "Hey," Sarah said, joining me. "Penny for your thoughts?" I smiled. "Just thinking about what's out there. We've seen a lot, but there's so much more we don't know." She nodded, her gaze following mine. "Yeah, but whatever's out there, we'll face it together." I couldn't argue with that. Our journey was far from over, but with this team, I felt ready for whatever came next. "We should get back inside," I said. "The others are probably wondering where we went." "Lead the way, Captain," she said with a grin. As we walked back into the warmth and laughter of the tavern, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. We were explorers, rescuers, and maybe even heroes. But most importantly, we were a team. And together, we could face anything the galaxy threw at us. The lost colony of Zorath was just the beginning.